It is Double Talk with Darian Durant. I know you and Maz did the podcast thing, so you guys kind of you're already warmed up in this, but Saturday, Darian, and you know what? We're getting comments here from people. Most of them are, I guess, logical in things and where we were last year and where we are now. Yeah, we didn't get to the Grey Cup. We didn't win the Grey Cup, but the positivity that we got to take, knowing, and I said to Maz, knowing like who are we better than in the league today, and there's a number of teams where last year we were at the bottom.
Yeah, totally. I think if you look at the difference in team, just the attitude, the decision to bring in Coach Mace to change just the complete culture of the organization. I think he did a great job of just implementing his footprint on the team, his vision he's shown. And, you have to definitely compare it year by year and say that you're in a totally better spot than you were last year. And you have to feel great about where you are. You had an opportunity to be in first place. I think if Trevor doesn't get hurt, you have the Western Final at home, no doubt about it, given the way that Winnipeg struggled early on in the season. So you have to look at the bright side, and you're a few pieces away from being the best team in the league. And, it's a good feeling to have, even though you lost the game.
So, Darian, one of the things that was brought up when your time with a Rider, and hopefully with Mace and the staff and stability, you had a million different offensive coordinators and learning new systems all the time. How helpful is it going to be next year? Let's say all the coaches come back, and that doesn't always happen, and they bring back a core group of guys. How much further ahead are you when you hit training camp in 2025, not having to relearn something?
No, it's imperative that it's just awesome to be in that situation where, guys don't have to come into training camp learning a total new system. Nothing's a foreign language. You get to build off of what you started the previous year. So I think that's amazing. And you know what? In my case, a lot of the turnover had to do with us winning. I mean, you look at us going to Grey Cup in 2009, and then Coach LaPolice gets a head coaching job, and then in 2010, things turn over from there. So with winning comes a lot of turnover in the coaching staff. So I think that in this case, even though you didn't win, to have the staff intact is huge for the Riders.
We're not in that locker room, and we don't know, the personalities and the culture. I guess we can, make our best guess on how it went down and how everything seemed positive. And it started at the top with Mace. But on the heels of that, Darian, how positive is that when you have a lot of these free agents and guys wanting to probably come back and to kind of use the old slogan, like finish the job?
Yeah, it's very important, man. You always want to play for a coach and an organization that has some stability, that has shown that they're right there when it comes to winning. And a lot of guys know how hard it is to get to the Grey Cup, let alone win the Grey Cup. So when you have an opportunity as a free agent to go to a team that's right on the cusp, has a good culture intact, has a young, enthusiastic head coach that has played the game. He understands what players go through. He understands the ups and downs of being a professional and contract negotiations, you name it. You want to play for a guy who's been through all of those things. So it's definitely an advantage for the Riders. And, I would hope that a lot of free agents around the league are looking at Saskatchewan as a destination, for a team that's up and coming and is looking to win right now.
Okay, let's jump back to the game. You and we did the Rider Nation podcast, and you can check it out at sportscage.com. It's like 42 minutes, and we get super deep into this. But some of the things you pointed out to me, that on those touchdowns to Lawler, you had said that the Bombers showed the Riders some things, or did things to the Riders they hadn't seen all season. And you had said on a couple of those plays, they brought in tight end sets that they weren't used to doing. And you think that's what caused the confusion in the secondary to allow Lawler to get free to score those touchdowns?
Well, I wouldn't even call it confusion. I just think that whenever you bring in I know for a fact, when you bring in a tight end, you get a high probability of man-to-man coverage. And because the team thinks that when you bring in a tight end, you're going to run the ball. And the way Oliveira has been running the ball, there's no doubt that the Riders were, geared up to stop that. So you get to dictate coverage. You can see here the tight end stays in, and Lawler just runs a great route on Revis. Whenever you can get Lawler matched up right one-on-one and dialed up in the perfect situation, he's going to win the majority of the time. And that's exactly what the Bombers did. Great job by Buck Pierce of just designing, an opportunity to free up Lawler and for him to make plays one-on-one. If you look at these clips, I mean, he's one-on-one in every situation. So that's just good coaching and drawing up plays to get your best players in the best situations.
It's funny that's the play that I was watching with my kids. And I said, "Okay, do you see there? The wideout took the guy deep. They're thinking run, and then now inside guy just beat him on like a little post corner." And I'm like, and that translates to, it actually translates to hockey too. I was telling my son, and I'm like, see, just skate up the ice and let your defenseman find a lane. I just feel too, Darian, that how they were able to spot the holes in the Riders' zone was probably like, how much of that would have just been a solid 2 week and getting that game plan and Zach sitting down with his receivers and saying, all right, when they show this, this is probably going to be like that touchdown where they just checked it down. That to me right away, that seems like they knew exactly what they were running up against. Exactly.
I mean, whenever you have a bye, and I mean, I'm sure in the Winnipeg office during that bye week, they were saying, it's a 70, 80% chance we're going to be playing Saskatchewan in the West Final. So majority of their preparation went towards playing against the Riders. And that's not taking anything away from BC, but that's just how you have to think as a coach and as an organization as you're trying to play out the weeks. So they had the extra time while the Riders didn't. The Riders had to put all of their focus on the BC Lions and making sure they came away with that win, while, Winnipeg was able to spend an extra week on the film, look at the tendencies. And I said this a few weeks ago, whenever you have a bye, it gives you a chance to just look at certain players on the opposing side and just look at their body language, see what they do, a little bit more meticulously than you would do during the regular season. You have time to do that. So I'm sure that's exactly what they did. Just let's find out what they're weak at, what we can exploit, and how can we get Kenny Lawler down the field. You can see that these are designed plays to get Kenny Lawler down the field and one-on-one coverage. And that's all about, how you scheme. And that's exactly what they did with that extra week off.
Now, you and I, when we chatted on the podcast, there was a play in the game where Brady Oliveira ran into Jameer Thurman. And after that, it seemed like Thurman was, I'll use the word rattled after that, and he kind of wasn't the same. And Brady was Brady. And I had said, as far as free agents go, Thurman is my number one guy before a quarterback or a Trevor Harris, because he's rock solid on defense. How when it gets unsettled on defense, when like the Rock, the guy that holds it all together, how hard is it to watch it, to be like, okay, we got to dial it back in.
Yeah, I mean, Thurman's the guy, man, and he's the quarterback of the defense. And a lot of people don't understand that if your quarterback is rattled on defense, the defense can break down as well. And I'm not saying that that's what happened, but the shot that he took from Oliveira in I think it was the first quarter, I think it set the tone for the physicality that Winnipeg was prepared to play with. And I don't know if the Riders were able to match that. And, when you have one of your best players in Brady Oliveira deciding that he's going to put his body on the line no matter what and just try to run through the starting linebacker for the other team, I mean, that goes to show the mentality that Winnipeg came into that game with. So, the Bombers, they were just, and I heard Suits say something about the crowd noise. You could just even see on TV that crowd was just rowdy as can be. They made it so tough on Trevor and that offense, and you can't get your audibles off. And if the play clock is low, you don't have time to figure out what's going on. So the Bombers were just, as we would say in football terms, they were just turned up. and they were turned up to the max, and they were ready to go, and their crowd definitely brought the energy with that team.
We're not second guessing, or we're not kind of crapping on them or whatever, but too early to gamble there, and where we are in the field in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I think so. You try to have the confidence in your defense to get a stop right there. You know that if you don't get it, then you're pretty much giving up points immediately. So that's just, but I think these scenarios and situations coach will learn from. This is his first year as a head coach as well. So he gets a chance to, self-reflect and evaluate himself and go back and look at every game just like players do, and think to himself if he would do something differently in each and every game. So, it's a great learning experience for him. He's still learning on the job, and, he'll make the most of it. He's a great coach. He's a very smart guy, and he'll learn from his mistakes as well.
So I'll paraphrase. Thurman is our number one free agent that we need to sign because he keeps that defense together. You'd said you'd bring back Trevor Harris, but what's the one thing that the Riders need to go out and do in free agency to make this team to a contender? What's that one player, one person?
I think the Riders need a playmaker. I think they need a receiver on offense that just puts fear of God in defenders wherever he's lined up. You need a guy, not necessarily an underneath threat, but a guy that can take the top off of coverage, a guy that can make the contested one-on-one plays, and just a guy that can open up the entire offense. I think you'll see the run game benefit tremendously if you had a receiver like that. Teams don't load the box a lot when you have a big play receiver, and I'll use Eugene Lewis in Edmonton as an example of a guy who is just, it's more so 80-20 instead of 50-50 when the ball goes up. So you need a guy like that, a guy who can make plays, a Kenny Lawler type, and I think it'll open up the offense so much.
I'll close on this. We just need Chase Claypool to come one season. He's on a negotiation list. Fix that toe up down there, right? Fix that toe up. Come up here, tear it up for the Riders, and then figure it out.
No, we need to get some longevity. I'm sure the fans want a jersey that they could buy and a guy that can be there for a few years. So that'd be good.
Hey, I have a suggestion, Darian, as a tortured Cowboys fan, because I don't know how much longer people are going to want to play at Jerry World. Call your brother to call CeeDee Lamb. Maybe we can get him, because if him and Jerry just get on the outs or something like that, we get him up here. Because here's the thing, this could be breaking news. I don't think the Cowboys are going to be playing in the Super Bowl this year.
I know, but we can't pay him $2 million a game. You can't do that.
Pro bono work. Tell him it's like it's for the kids.
It's marketing money, right?
Here's your sales pitch. We built our stadium knowing where the sun sets, so the sun won't hit you in the eyes when you're in the end zone.
You can make more plays, right?
Right on. Yeah. Doubles. Let's do it again next week. We'll recap the Grey Cup and we'll go from there.
We'll talk about a Winnipeg win.
Yep, that's the where it's headed. So thanks, guys.
See you later.